Hey everyone, this is the Tell the Truth Sports Radio show. I'm your host, Ron Fitch. I'm going to tell you the truth about my predictions. Some of them were pretty good, some of them were lousy. Let's talk about this first lousy prediction where I thought the Buffalo Bills would win at home versus New England, and they did not. And this game was all about the wind. The wind controlled one side of the football where one team you couldn't kick or pass really good. New England got the ball, and the wind was on their side in the first quarter. They scored right away, which was smart. And Buffalo got a lucky touchdown. It was 11-7. It's 14-10. New England ran the ball down Buffalo's throat in order to get their another field goal. And they played the percentages. They were able to get a touchdown, 2-point conversion, 2 field goals. 14-10. The Bills did have one drive. This was the key. The Bills is 14-10. The Bills drive down the field, and it's 4th and goal. You go for a touchdown. You can't worry about kicking that ball into the wind like that. You have to go for the touchdown. You trust Josh Allen to make a play on a run. You have to figure out how to score there in that instance. They get the ball back, and they kind of messed up because of the penalties. So now it's 4th and 14. They're not getting that. New England runs the clock out, and that's game. And New England wins. It's big because now they are the top of the AFC because of the win over Tennessee. And Tennessee and Baltimore and those teams are struggling. So at this point, it's New England and Kansas City who are playing the best. But I am not going to lose faith in Buffalo as far as my Super Bowl pick yet. But what I'm going to do a Tell the Truth Sports Radio reboot when the playoffs come. So whichever team, if Buffalo and the Rams, the teams I picked to go Super Bowl, do not look like Super Bowl contenders, I will cut bait and keep it moving and look at the teams that are, whether it's Tampa, Green Bay, Dallas, or the Colts or whoever. Now, as far as New England's concerned, you can't hide a rookie quarterback. Belichick didn't win, and they didn't have to throw the football, but they could get the home field, and I've seen this with rookie quarterbacks. Say, for instance, they beat Buffalo again. They can play Buffalo a third time in the playoffs, and Buffalo will have learned how to beat New England. Or if New England runs into a team that can stop the run, and Damian Harris won't run up the middle for 66 yards, and they're really going to make sure they throw different coverages that Jones hadn't seen yet. That could be problematic. It's hard to take a rookie. The punters are going to go nuts. They're going to go New England Super Bowl. They have an excellent team on both sides of football. They're smart. And what New England does well is when you get to the 10-yard line, their primary goal is to stop the run. Then they're going to come up with some type of coverage to trick you into throwing a pick. This is what they specialize in, and they're going to blitz you like crazy at the goal line. The Bills, when they play New England, if it's the wind's better and the wind is not the factor, and it's a clean game, McDermott and his coaching staff are going to have to do better. And they wasted timeouts. So they didn't have timeouts after the 4th down with 2 minutes left. New England could run the clock out. You can't take stupid timeouts. And you got to figure out, because you don't run it well, you have to figure out whether it's a trick play or whatever play you have in your bag, you got to figure out how to score touchdowns inside the 10-yard line when you get to the 10-yard line. You can't waste any of those possessions or you will pay for it against Belichick. So this is a good lesson for the Bills to learn. Will they learn it? As far as the NFC, Tampa and Green Bay are playing lights out. The Cardinals have the best record. The Cardinals are going to play the Rams. My pick. We're going to find out next Monday night a lot about both teams. Tampa Bay has a couple more tough games coming up. So this is, we shall see. It is going to be very, very, very interesting how this plays out because Tampa has Buffalo next week. Buffalo's got to wipe themselves, clean themselves off after this, the stench of this loss, and go to Tampa and take care of business. And then Tampa's New Orleans, at Carolina, at the Jets. So Tampa's in a good position to get home field if they take care of Buffalo. If they lose, now you got scoreboard watch. Now, Carolina could, because they play them back-to-back, Carolina could give them a game, but they're in the best position. They're definitely in the very best position as far as the schedule. Now look at Green Bay and their schedule. Let me see what we got here. Okay, they got the Bears at Baltimore. They're still winnable the way, unless Jackson could stop throwing picks. Cleveland at home, Minnesota at home, and at Detroit. So Green Bay could run the table. And they're 7-2 in the conference. Tampa Bay 6-3 in the conference. They both need Arizona to get beat. If Arizona beats the Rams, Arizona could take off. You're going to have to go through the desert to get to the Super Bowl. As far as AFC, I don't know. New England could get home field, but I think you could beat them in New England. It's not Brady. Mac Jones is not ready. I don't think he's ready yet. I just don't. But, they're going to be who they are. They are New England. Kansas City is in the best position because they're on fire right now. All right. The rest of the NFL stories. I knew this was going to happen because I know the makeup. I kind of know the makeup of Cincinnati at this point. I knew they were going to get beat down after playing a great game against Pittsburgh last week. They're too young to be able to handle that kind of success. And the buffoonery of the way the Steelers played probably was terrible. It was like rat poison, as Nick Saban would say. And the Chargers put up 41 points on Cincinnati, and they beat them up. Herbert was fantastic, 26 of 35, 317 yards, 3 touchdowns. Eckler fumbled the ball a couple times, but he did okay. Williams was outstanding, 110 yards. Guyton, 90 yards. Eckler did get good yardage in the passing game. And Cincinnati did nothing. And Joe Burrow got hurt. And you know how they didn't come to play? The line didn't come to play, so they didn't protect him. So he hurts his hand. Mixon didn't come to play. He had 54 yards. He almost had 200 yards rushing, so he fumbles and gives up a touchdown. It was a fumble, and the Chargers scored on it. Their heart wasn't in that game. And I saw the looks on their sideline. They just looked like they weren't in it at all. And you can't afford that. You got to have the Mamba mentality when you're trying to play for the playoffs. You can't take days off. And they did. And they're 7-5. And, with their schedule coming up with the Niners coming to town, they got a schedule where they could get beat up a little. I don't think they're going to make it. I think they're going to come up a little short. Baltimore, I told you Baltimore is shaky. They should have beat Pittsburgh, and they didn't. And their luck, they got lucky against the Colts. They got lucky, a lucky fumble, a missed field goal by the Colts, a lucky fumble at the end when the Chiefs are going to put them away. Vikings have opportunity to win the game. They don't. So their luck ran out, and they were unlucky in this game. When they take a 7-0 lead, and Jackson just couldn't finish the deal. He got sacked 7 times. He threw a ball up for grabs in the red zone, which is, you can't do that. Take the sack, take the points. They didn't, and that cost them. That play right there ended up coming back to haunt them. And then the last drive, they're up 20 to no, it's 13-12 because Boswell missed an extra point when Pittsburgh came back and took got a touchdown wide open, Deontay Jackson. Pittsburgh goes down the field. This is a 69-yard drive, mostly running the ball up the middle. And then finally they made an idiotic pass interference play on third down, which they could have got off the field. They would have Steelers would have kicked the field goal, and Baltimore would have ran the clock out and won the game. This Pittsburgh wasn't going to stop them. And they ended up scoring, giving up the 2-point conversion. And Baltimore comes down. And I said Baltimore's going to come down. And I'm rooting for, as a Steeler fan, I'm rooting for them. I was like, good. It's 20-13. Baltimore's going to come down, tie the game. We're going to overtime. Because I knew Pittsburgh wasn't going to stop Baltimore. I knew that. That wasn't happening. Baltimore comes down like I thought, and they get a touchdown. But Harbaugh idiotically tries to go for 2. With Jackson, the play call, it was a possibility you could have got that off if Mark Andrews, if there's a better pass, but kick the field goal. Yeah, he said, well, our secondary wasn't hurt. You win the coin toss, you're going down the field for a game-winning touchdown. And if worst case scenario, they get the coin toss, you hold him to a field goal, he's coming down to get to score a touchdown, you win the game. That is costly. I don't know if that'll keep her from winning the division, because the NFC Central is just mediocre, with the Browns bringing up the rear. And the Browns, I think they're going to beat Baltimore. So Baltimore's got a couple of tougher games. Pittsburgh's probably going to lose to Minnesota, barring some type of divine intervention. They're going to an angry Minnesota team on Thursday at home after losing to the Lions. I would be I would be shocked. That would be one of the biggest upsets I've seen. And Cincinnati, you might have a team in that division backing into the playoffs winning the division. And I think Tennessee is going to struggle too. So, and Kansas City is coming now. Kansas City is a coming. I'm going to tell you right now. That was a good quality win over the Broncos, because the defense was fantastic. And they're playing better defense, even though the Broncos were a mess on offense. They did your job. And in the NFC, congrats to the Lions for finally winning. The Redskins pulled out a game where they got a bad call. The Raiders got screwed on a pass interference call. It should have been pass interference, and it was an incomplete pass. The Redskins win 17-15, and they're 2 behind that. Dallas got to keep winning. They play Dallas. This is for the division. If Dallas wins this week, if the Cowboys win this week at Washington, they're okay. They lose Washington 7-6, and the Cowboys are 8-5, and now they're right there. And now all those ghosts and demons of past would creep into Dallas' head. But say, for instance, Dallas loses to Washington, they do have Washington coming to their place Sunday night. So they'll beat the Giants. If they lose to Washington, they can beat the Giants, play Washington. All they have to do is beat Washington. Arizona could be a problem. And at Philadelphia, they have to take care of business. Now, if they lose both games of Washington, that's going to be a problem. If they beat Washington both times, I'm like, okay, they're playing their potential. But the thing is, Washington's defense is playing lights out now. They're playing like they did last year. And Washington, with their coaching staff, they believe they're going to win the division. In their mind, they're not scared of Dallas. And they believe, even though Dallas is much more talented, they believe we'll get them to fold. And Dallas has got to beat Washington to show them this is a different year. This is a whole new year, buddy. We're a different Dallas team. I can't wait to see that game Sunday. All right, college football. Well, this is a bit of an embarrassing segment for me, for the fact that I was pretty sure Georgia was going to win. And, man, when you pick against Nick Saban, regardless of the underclassmen and me and the great Chris Stanley, we broke it down. We thought that was correct. Georgia would take care of business. This is where I was wrong. And you're in Alabama, Cincinnati, Michigan, and Georgia are in. Let's talk about why they're in and where they're at. Alabama's the number one seed because of the beatdown from Georgia. Georgia was up 10-0. This is the biggest. There was a lot of big plays for Alabama. This was one of them. And you consider the 97-yard drive against Auburn set this up. They're down 10-0. And I'm saying, here we go again. Okay, Georgia gets the ball back. It's 3rd and 2. Georgia gets his ball back. They're in trouble. It's 3rd and 2. And I said, if Alabama runs, they're going to punt. Georgia going to come down 17-0, and they're going to just pin Ayers back. And it's going to be the beatdown that everybody was waiting for. But Bryce Young hits Jamison Williams over the middle for a 67-yard touchdown. It's 10-7. They come back, they score, they make it 14-7 on Menchie, who was unfortunately ended up getting hurt and he's out for the season, but he was very good in this game too. They're up. They scored 20 after that 67-yard pass. They scored 24 points. It was 24-7. And that was the dagger. They were up 7 with the ball going into the second half. And no one expected that. I didn't. I was like, oh, man, okay. Well, if Georgia gets a stop, they could tie the score. But the problem was I'm listening to the broadcast, and Kirby Smart in one of the meetings said, hey, our secondary isn't as good as last year. And I'm thinking, whoa, wait a minute. If Bryce Young has time, he's going to light these dudes up. He had time. He lit them up. Nobody really had. Tennessee almost did. They started out putting it on Georgia for a little while, but they couldn't sustain it. Alabama got the lead. And then that long bomb to Williamson in the third quarter to give them the 55-yard touchdown to give them the 2-score lead in the third quarter. Uh-oh. Okay. All right, let's see what Stetson Bennett got now. Now you're down 14. Now you got to win the game. You haven't had to win the game all year. He can't convert a 4th down. They throws a pick 6. They're down 21. They're down 21. They end up losing. They got beat down. Alabama tore them to shreds. And Bennett had 3 touchdowns, but it was empty calories, 2 interceptions. He only completed 50% of his passes. Cook and White did not run wild. Alabama's got the 4th best defense in the nation as far as run. They were just getting beat up in the pass by a lot of teams, but Georgia couldn't take advantage of that. And Bryce Young, oh my gosh. The pitch to Robinson on 3rd down, the sideline route when he threw to Williamson, the pass to Williamson. I mean, dude he's so wise beyond his years for a redshirt freshman. It's amazing. And he doesn't look, he's slight of build. So when he first came on the stand, I was like, well, it's too short. This is not going to work. His IQ is out of this world. He's the best quarterback Nick Saban ever had. And I thought with all these underclassmen there a year off, I don't know. They beat up Georgia. And when Georgia got punched in the face, Georgia was not ready for it. Kirby Smart after the game said, hey, I'm glad we got beat up because Georgia gets a second chance. So he's saying, I'm glad we got beat. We get to refocus, wake up better. That was bad. Williamson was great. Bolden's going to be Slade Bolden's going to have to be the guy. And Nick Saban has a month to get Bolden and Billingsley into the rotation without Menchie. And, he's the best. He's got a whole month to prepare. And he's going to be preparing for Cincinnati. That's a good matchup. Cincinnati has a very good secondary with Kobe Bryant. That name. They play a 3-3-4. Alabama doesn't really see that much, but they did tear it up when Ole Miss. They did see it against Ole Miss, and they performed well. You give Nick Saban a month, it's going to be, Cincinnati's got the moxie. Now, Cincinnati's got to be careful they don't overdo it with the moxie and start running their mouths about what they're going to do to Alabama. But when you got Desmond Ridder at quarterback and Jerome Ford and Pierce at wide receiver, Ford at running back, they got speed. The thing is, they're not as big. Alabama could impose their will physically. If they do that, they're going to be fine. If it's a game where it's kind of a finessey speed game, that favors Cincinnati. Cincinnati can get they can fill it up. But Alabama could too now. You saw they put up 41 points against the best defense in the country. So that's a good game. The next game will be Michigan, who destroyed Iowa. They just McNamara was solid. Haskins was good. And Blake Corum had a 67-yard touchdown run. So and then Michigan did option pass by the wide receiver was just beautifully done. And they just look good. They pinned their ears back. Hutchinson was just outstanding. They have two great edge rushers. They play super physical. And they're going to be playing Georgia. And Georgia is smarting. Georgia likes this style that they're going to see with Michigan. And before I get into that, I want to talk about the controversy with number one. You could make a case that Michigan was definitely deserving of number one with their resume. I felt like it was okay with Alabama being number one because of the fact that the SEC, the mediocre teams in the SEC are better than the lousy teams in the Big Ten, especially my college Rutgers. Horrible. And Michigan, they looked at the struggles. Michigan struggled against Indiana, I believe, and Nebraska, and Auburn almost beat Alabama, Arkansas, and LSU. So they both had their struggles. So it was evenly matched up. I think that Rutgers game where they only beat Rutgers by 7, that is bad. That alone would let me. It was a long time ago. Michigan is on fire right now. But I look at the resumes and I say Alabama's resume is a little better because they beat the number one team. But now Michigan beat Ohio State badly too, and they're rolling. But it doesn't matter. If Michigan beats Georgia and Alabama, they're champs. So Michigan say, listen, okay, who cares? I want this matchup anyway. I want to see Michigan and Georgia because they're going to be beating each other up. They're gonna get after Stetson Bennett. Think about this. What if in the Michigan-Georgia game, Michigan gets the lead, and Stetson Bennett is not goofing off. I don't want to say that. Stetson Bennett is not playing well. Those will pick 6. Michigan's up 21-6 or 17-3 or something like that. And it's the third quarter. You got 3 points. Now, you could just sit back and let them play against Alabama and just let it ride out because you're in the playoffs. It's 17-3, and you're ready to go home with all those Georgia fans already mad that you lost your rival and you lose to Michigan, all that pressure. JT Daniels is going to come in the game. So take a peek at the Daniels Stetson Bennett dynamic when they play each other. This game favors Georgia from the standpoint of this is the style they like. They weren't crazy about Alabama slinging it down the field with their secondary that's not that good. But Jim Harbaugh is going to sit back and say, listen, we can't just sit there and just run Haskins and Corum and just bludgeon Georgia. We can run it a little, but we run it when they don't expect it. And that's the path Michigan has. Get after Bennett to cause confusion and then put JT Daniels in. Get the lead and make Georgia panic a little bit. And then run it. But I think they're going to have to, McNamara is going to have to sling it down the field to their receivers, which he did against Ohio State. They're going to have to be a little more open to pass. They're just going to line up and say, listen, we're Michigan. And we got here by running. We're going to run. You're going to get beat by Georgia. Georgia is going to be upset. They're going to be, and Jordan Davis is going to be mad. He didn't play that good. He's going to look for stuff to run. But you could play action, Georgia, and show the run, pass the ball, loosen them up, then run here and there, gash them. And then that's the path for Michigan. For Georgia, you got to hope Stetson Bennett goes out there and makes a couple of plays, gets the ball they have the 2 best tight ends in America, and get Pickens going a little bit. And then they have to get the Zeus White has to run the ball. They Cook. They got to run it. Not gonna be easy because Michigan is really good. I get on the Big Ten about teams I'm not crazy about Ohio State. Sometimes they're a bit overrated. They're great talent. Michigan State is definitely overrated. I don't respect them as much. And the other teams are good, but they're not like awe-inspiring. And they're not like the SEC has explosive teams. Even the mediocre ones that have mediocre years, like Auburn and LSU, they're explosive. Penn State and Iowa and Nebraska, they're. If you watch the SEC, you watch it. Just tell the truth, radio. Other than Michigan, you don't see that explosion. Michigan got SEC makeup. I like how explosive they are. If they got a chance, if Harbaugh could be creative with some of his play calling, don't put the second quarterback in. You're going to get beat up by Georgia. But let McNamara play it out and throw it around. Maybe use that option pass again. Maybe a trick play or two to go along with your game plan. And let Hutchinson and let those edge rushers eat and stop the run. They got a chance. Because remember, Alabama's still young. So maybe they revert back to the Arkansas, LSU, Auburn game. Maybe they against Cincinnati. That's an interesting matchup. I don't think that's gonna be a blowout. But I have all month to break that down. I'm gonna be working on a special college football show with my favorite. I'm gonna get all my favorite guests and break it down. So it'll be a really good show to watch and like and subscribe to. Let me tell you something about the NBA. And I'm going to be more in depth the longer the season goes, but I'm pick my spots when I'm looking for different things I see and trends. The Chicago Bulls are balling. They whooped up on the Knicks. They whooped up on the Nets. They walked into New York City and took care of business like the Jordan years. And I'm going to tell you something. Chicago is really, really balling. They're in a nip and tuck game with Denver right now. Zach LaVine has 19. Zach LaVine, Vujovic, Ball, Lonzo Ball is playing great. Caruso I know as a Laker fan, he's playing well. He's out with a hamstring, but when they come into the playoffs, I think they need one more tough, hard-nosed, rebounding dude. One more dude to go along with. Vujovic is a finesse shooter. They could use another guy that could battle the Embiids and Julius Randles and Anthony Davises and all those guys. They need one more dude like that. They need like a hard-nosed Draymond Green type of guy to go along with what they do and how effective they are. Because Sylvain could shoot, he could drive. Ball could shoot, he could drive. Caruso, he could get up. And Vujovic is a great spot-up shooter. And the man, DeMar DeRozan, is playing out of his mind. He's playing like an MVP candidate. He's their go-to guy. And when I end this show, I'm going to watch the rest of the Denver-Chicago game to see the Joker versus DeRozan to see who gets the best of who at the end of the game. But they're really balling. One more point. I like what Kareem said about LeBron. He said ghosts don't dance. And they said, and I heard the pundit say, it's a different era. That's not the point. It definitely is a different era. And the Lakers of Showtime, which I follow because I'm a Laker fan from that era. Yeah, it is. And players dance and all that. This is my issue. I don't have the problem with the dancing and all the other stuff. But I got a problem when you're dancing and front running against the Pacers. I got a real problem with that. I got a problem when you're 500 and you're playing the Pacers and you're dancing. Now, if he wants to go out there and hit a game-winning shot against the Clippers or Golden State or Phoenix and you want to dance, buddy. I'll dance watching you. I'll do the dance with you, LeBron. But you can't do that. You can't because you're like a front-running bully. And they got to be better than that because there's a lot of work to be done. I wonder if they're going to make a trade for like a Dort or Jeremy Grant. They're not done with their team yet, but it's early. Let's wait till Christmas. After Christmas, you never know. They could catch fire. It's a long season. overreacted. I just like what Kareem said. And on the flip side, I'm okay with you dancing, but dance against the big dogs. Don't dance against the little defenseless Indiana Pacers. Everybody that's listening, whether they like him or don't like LeBron, or there's haters and I take whatever feelings I have out and I just tell the truth. And the truth is, go and even if the LeBron lovers who bristle and shake and ooh, I don't like what you just said, they'll even agree with me saying, listen, dance against the big dogs if you want to dance.